Welcome to VSB After the Bell. I'm your host, Gianna Chow. With deep gratitude and respect, we are honored to be learning and unlearning on the ancestral and unceded lands of the Mvukiyehe, Squamish, Ohomeo, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. The Vancouver School Board is among the most diverse school systems in Canada, with an annual enrollment of just under 50,000 students from kindergarten to grade 12 and adult education students. Black Excellence Day was on January 13th this month. This momentous day is an opportunity to collectively honor the rich history, contributions, achievements, and joy of Black peoples here and around the world. This day was chosen to honor civil rights leader Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The VSB participated in the day through a Black Excellence live stream hosted by Ninandotoo Society and the Burnaby School District. Nola Charles and Ruth Mvukiyehe were among a few VSB students who were able to attend the event in person. Both students join us today to talk about their experience. Welcome, Nola and Ruth. To start, could you introduce yourselves to listeners?
My name is Ruth Mvukiyehe. I'm in grade 12 and I go to Vancouver Technical Secondary.
Hello, my name is Nola Charles. I'm also in grade 12 and I go to Vancouver Technical Secondary, or VanTech.
So let's start off by walking us through the event. What did you hear and see and learn?
Okay, so we had to be at school up and early at, I think we had to be there at like 7:45. We all met up, came at different times. You know, shout out Cicely, you were the last one there, but you still made it. Mr. Turlings, our vice principal, very awesome, very supportive. He took us there. So we took the 9 and then we went on the SkyTrain. Got off on the SkyTrain. We had this dilemma of if we're going to take the bus to Burn Creek or walk. So we took the bus, we got there. The first thing we did was we filmed a little explanation of our day for the VSB Instagram story, introducing ourselves, our grade, and then we walk in and we have to spend like a good maybe 30, 45 minutes just inside the school because they weren't ready for us. So all the students were just mingling. Ruth was filming content for her YouTube channel.
Yeah, shout out.
What's your YouTube channel, Ruth?
It's Ineza. It's INEZZA. Yeah, subscribe.
You can see content from that day as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's called Magnificent, Majestic Melanin. Yeah.
I love that title. Okay, so now you're, mingling with other students in the hallway.
Yep. And then we get in, we take a seat, then we get some drinks, like some tea or coffee or juice and something to eat. And then we start the day with land acknowledgement, introduction to the day, and then the beautiful music, which I don't think when you go to an event, especially when it's for youth, you never expect the music to be that good. You're like, okay, like they're going to sing and maybe I'm going to have to like try not to laugh or something, or, oh my goodness, it was amazing.
What's the music? You have to tell me.
Explain what the music was.
All right, so at first they sort of like hit us with like a song off YouTube. So then at first I was like, okay, this is going to be how it is. But then they came with some performers. What was his name?
The lead singer was Marcus Mosley.
Wonderful voice, yeah.
Don't know the two others that were with him. They didn't, when I took pictures, they didn't.
Yeah, we couldn't see the names, unfortunately, but shout out to them. Like, very, very, very beautiful voices. Soulful voices. I want you to really think like your typical Baptist Black church choir soulful voices. And it sounded like a choir, but it was just 3 people.
It gave you the feel.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah. And then we watched a couple of the presentations and by our host, Mr. Tashawn Carter, our Big Brother winner.
And Canada's Amazing Race.
Okay, so we got some super fans over here.
Big super fans. Yeah, R&W ambassador.
Okay, after his speech.
Yeah, well, yeah, he was just our host the entire time, coming in and out after each video that we watched. And then we got a little food, we got to eat a little Panago pizza. We definitely earned that sauce. And then after, we watched a couple more presentations and we ended off with Lean on Me by the 3 performers once again. And then towards the end, we just got to mingle a little bit and that was the day.
Very cool. And so you guys finished that around like 3:30, went home, went back on the bus.
Yeah.
So what was the highlight for you then?
Definitely my favorite part was towards the end when there was 3 performers. We sang Lean On Me all together. Everybody in the room was singing it. And we like, it was so, I don't know, yeah, that sense of community once again. Like, it was really like, if I felt it at any point, it was definitely towards the end.
So you joined in and you sang? Yeah. Is there a little preview for us?
Come on, Nola, go ahead. Let's do it together.
Lean on me.
When you're not strong.
I'll be there.
Okay. Yeah, I guess so. Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
So did you guys walk away from the event making new friends from other school districts?
110%. Yeah. Like, when we went, we actually already knew a couple people from UBC Black Futures. And then somebody from one of those like events had also gone to the Black Excellence Day, and she had a friend, like, yeah, and like, you know, everybody was just being friends and stuff, and it was awesome.
And then you could connect on social media and follow each other.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's the cool part, because in my day, you'd have to call or email just to stay connected. Following on social media is so much easier to stay connected and up to date with your friends and what they're doing.
Yeah.
Did you guys attend any workshops or discussions?
There wasn't necessarily workshops or like set discussions, because a lot of the speakers, it was virtually, because a lot of them didn't live in Vancouver, just weren't able to. But a lot of discussions happened organically during like our times. A bunch of the students would like talk amongst each other about the day. And, you know, the students that I came with from Van Tech, we were doing like documenting for VSB's Instagram. So we were talking a lot about like what we want to share and our highlights during the day. But a speaker who stood out to me was Minnie Jean Brown. She really stuck out to me because she was one of the Little Rock 9 students. And I was quite shook because I thought that's like an amazing opportunity to hear from her.
So for listeners who don't know, can you explain the Rock 9 students?
I can explain it to as much as I know. Yeah. They were 9 Black students who were going into a school that used to be segregated as an only white school up until then. So they were faced with a lot of hate from students, parents, faculty members, everything. And she was saying how in that moment, her resilience was her smile, because she was always told that was a gift, and she still wore it walking in, even though she was getting like photographed and yelled at and all that. So
yeah. And your greatest takeaway was listening to her. And what did you learn?
Well, I learned a lot that like resilience looks very different in many circumstances, and it doesn't have to be like you lifting your fist up and yelling and screaming for your rights and all of that and being super confident within it. It can just be portraying a part of yourself that people wouldn't expect you to when they're putting you down.
How about you, Ruth? What was your maybe, let's say, top 3 takeaways?
I think Nola said it best. Like, a lot of the discussions and all that did like definitely just like happen organically. And also, like, to me, it was really surprising. Like, you wouldn't really expect like a bunch of like teenagers to actually talk and like think about like these problems that we have in school. But it was like surprisingly easy to talk about it with each other, because like we all like had that like sense of like, yeah, like I get you. And even during the presentations that they were showing virtually, they gave some of the schools an opportunity to like make a video, and a lot of them like really like touched my heart, especially the one with the kids, where they had the kids like raise their fists up and be like, yeah, I stand with
like little elementary kids.
Little elementary kids. And it was just so cute. And also like, you know, kids our age, like just talking about like what Black excellence meant to them and what being Black meant to them. And I think it was just super powerful. And you know, sure, there wasn't any workshops, but I definitely like was able to like take away a lot from those presentations.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like you guys were definitely in a safe space and you could be vulnerable amongst your peers. So that's a great question. What does Black excellence mean to you?
I think for me, Black excellence means amplifying and uplifting Black voices and agency, and not just honoring ones, you know, from our civil rights history as much as they need to be, but the ones who every day, especially the young ones, that are breaking the boundaries set in place for us based off stereotypes. And when we do that, I think that leaves much more room for Black excellence achievements and Black joy.
Really insightful answer. Amazing.
Yeah, being able to see people from the community like achieve like even the most unexpected things, even with all the animosity. I think obviously like stereotypes like play a big part in like how Black people are perceived, and just like to me, Black excellence means like going outside of that box and like being able to like be inspired and just be able to see that like through people that I look up to, like, hey, I can do it too.
You know, as Black students in Vancouver, do you still receive animosity in schools?
I definitely think so, and I don't think it's like maybe the stereotype of people think of racism towards Black individuals in school, but when I came in grade 8 and then till mid-grade 10, I didn't know how impactful like representation of like seeing positive representations of people who looked like me was. And, you know, that's how XBlock started, and XBlock students came to the Black Excellence Day event, but I see it like everywhere. For example, we have an African descent history course that's offered off timetable at my school, yet the only way I heard about it was from, at the time, who no longer works at our school, the only Black teacher at our school would push students to, hey, get the word out. We don't want this class to be dismissed. Or when it comes to Black History Month, it's maybe our small numbers of dedicated Black students who are focusing on everything. And then, yeah, we get the teacher support, but it's still us doing like all the work for it to be supported. And then we have these, you know, mandatory assemblies where half the students or more don't really care, and then we don't really have a space to be celebrated separately, which I do admire about the Burnaby School Board, because I feel like they definitely do way more. And then when we do get invited, it's like last year it would be like every time it'd be 4 of us from our school. So I'd feel guilty too for other students who weren't able to experience that.
I do know that increasing equity in the district is a goal identified in the education plan for VSB. Over the last few years, there's been a number of initiatives devoted to anti-racism education, and they continue at the district and at school levels. District staff have and continue to engage with members of the Black, Indigenous, and people of color communities to advance efforts to address racism and impacts of racist behavior. I know that we've updated several district policies and schools' code of conduct that explicitly speaks against racism, discrimination, and acts of hate. We've also implemented mandatory anti-racism training for all staff. There's even a whole department dedicated to equity and anti-oppression. But while all this takes place, there's definitely more we can all do to eliminate racism, especially in schools. You mentioned XBlocks. Okay, XBlock. What is that?
So XBlock is an after-school mentorship program for Black students at Van Tech. It started 2 years ago when Miss Fester, a teacher who no longer works at our school but still supports XBlock, came up to me and some other senior Black students suggesting a space or a club for Black students where grade 10 to 12 students could help grade 8 and 9 students with homework and belonging at Van Tech. We noticed an increased amount of Black students entering Van Tech, especially the grade 8 students. So we started that. It started off every Monday after school, homework help, advice, potential speakers, and just like fun days. And then grade 11, we transitioned it to once a month where we do larger activities and more celebration, and then like always offered homework help. Mm-hmm. And that's led us to be invited to different things like Black Excellence Day at Burnaby, as well as if we'll film videos for VSB for Black History Month and things like that.
How many members do you guys have?
So we have around, I'd say, 22 to 25, which is quite great because in the beginning we had like 10.
So you really grew it?
Yes.
And then did that change your kind of outlook that day and then moving forward?
I think for me, that day was, of course it was great and uplifting and all, but it really made me like, right on the bus or on the SkyTrain, I was like, okay, we got to get one for Vancouver students because it was so good. But I kept being like, what if like all the Black students from our school went there? Because when we do get invited elsewhere, it is quite, again, like I said, the consistent like amount of people. So I was just like, wow, that was so amazing. Like I hope like the East Side, you know, especially Vancouver East Side students get to experience that because we have the type of schools where it's like 5 Black students at this school, 4 Black students at this school, where like saying, oh yeah, I have 12 is like, oh my gosh, you have 12 is a big thing. So if you get all of those students, plus of course more, but I was just thinking about how impactful that situation would be.
Yeah, that would be cool for you guys to organize it. Start something for next year.
Not only like having students like be invited, but also like having students like know that these things like actually happen.
So what's the plans for the future? What's the plans for you personally for the future? And then what's going to happen to the club?
So what I'm really trying to do is do the mentee training early on so they can become mentors. There's some grade 11s who like are great, like guaranteed I know they're going to be amazing. But then there's some grade 10s who I really see that like that confidence, like that leadership, confidence and agency coming out that I want them to be motivated with. And I know that Ms. Fester will still stay engaged, as well as I would have no issue with coming in here and there as like an ex-Block mentor to just be like, what's up guys?
An alumni coming back.
Exactly.
Yeah, we call that train the trainer.
Train the trainer.
Yeah, for me, I think I'm definitely going to go to post-secondary, get my Bachelor's of Arts in like sociology, and eventually become a social worker.
Very cool. What are your plans, Nola?
As of right now, I'm hoping as well to get my Bachelor's of Arts and then my Bachelor's of Education potentially, and maybe do teaching, maybe go into nonprofit work, but those are my if I'm asked about jobs, those are my 2 main streams, but hoping UBC.
I think you'll be an amazing teacher if you do decide to go down that path.
Thank you very much.
Thank you both for sharing your experience at the Black Excellence Day event. It's clear that this is a vital event that enriches students' understanding and appreciation of Black history and culture. To our listeners, let's carry the spirit of Black Excellence Day with us every day, recognizing, celebrating, and learning from the rich and diverse contributions of Black individuals. Remember, excellence comes in many forms, and it's up to us to recognize and celebrate it in all its diversity. We have a reoccurring segment on the show called Matter of the Month, where we talk about hot topics in the district. For this January, we're delving into a topic that touched every student, parent, and staff member: school closures due to severe weather. To shed light on this subject, I'm joined by Helen McGregor, superintendent of the VSB. Thank you for being here today, Helen.
It's a pleasure to be here, Gianna. This is such an important topic, and I'm so glad that we're discussing it.
So on January 17 and 18, Vancouver and many other cities in Metro Vancouver were hit with a large dump of snow. Snowflakes were falling, the wind picked up, and the big question loomed in everyone's mind: will there be school tomorrow? So Helen, can you walk us through the process of a school closure due to severe weather? What factors do you take into consideration?
So the decision to close schools is not taken lightly. Our top priority is always the safety of our students and our staff. And the process begins very early, usually in the day prior, where we start monitoring the weather forecasts. And we collaborate and talk to other organizations. I, very early in the morning, am talking to superintendents of neighboring school districts. We're talking to other educational institutions. We have staff that are driving the roads across Vancouver to really look at the current conditions and to really understand the potential impact of the coming weather.
When you say other organizations, do you also speak to the city? And how about transit services? What other factors do you consider?
It's important, as you indicated, to really understand road conditions, our transit running, our school buses running, and understanding what's happening across Vancouver. So lots of conversations, as I said, leading into a potential weather event and in the morning as we're trying to make the decision. Knowing this is such an important decision, having as much information as possible before we make a decision about our schools open or our schools closed.
So knowing that a school could potentially be closed, why do you have to make that decision in the morning? Why not the night before? I mean, we all have weather apps on our phones, and, you know, the weather does a fairly good job of predicting what it's going to be like the next day. Why can't you have those conversations early on to give parents some more time to plan ahead?
Well, we also know that weather conditions can change suddenly. So the weather's warmer than anticipated. There is less inclement weather. It arrives at a different time. It starts to melt. So all of those are factors. We know that across VSB, we have 50,000 students, and the impact of a closure of schools has significant impact on families, the entire community. So taking information, the most current information, and making the decision is really why Vancouver School Board and other neighboring school districts make their decisions in the morning. That's quite a consistent process. And in really making sure we know exactly what's happening. And that being said, we try to let families know by 6:30 a.m. in the morning so that they can make their plans. I always encourage people, knowing that there might be, changing weather, to really think about, what two possible plans may be for the next day. I have a child myself, and I know there's lots of people considering what they need to do in the event that we close. But it's very important. We know our schools provide such a place, and it's about equity. It's about safety. It's about, making the best decisions with the most current information we can.
Wow, 6:30 is quite early, so you must have to be up hours beforehand to have conversations with neighboring school districts and other civic agencies to coordinate your approach and decision. And it sounds like the main advice to parents is to make two plans, to have a plan A and a plan B, because while we try to give as much notice as possible, you just never know, and the weather is unpredictable. So our last snow day lasted 2 days in January, and students had to miss back-to-back instruction. How does this impact their academic learning?
Well, I'm an educator. I've been a teacher. I've been a principal of a school, and I'm a parent of a teenager. And I know that many students miss school for a few days a year for a variety of different reasons. So I don't have concerns about the impact of 2 days related to inclement weather. In a Vancouver context, these days have been very rare. And I would say always, if there is a particular concern that a parent might have about their student, reaching out to their school and having that conversation. But I would really say these are rare events. Hopefully they continue to be rare events. And we really look at, how we support our learners. I can say many students participated in things that they might not normally do on those days and had different learning opportunities.
Yeah, that's true. I guess in Vancouver, snow days are far and few between. And it's only recently, I think we've only had maybe 3 snow days in the last 2 years. And oftentimes, especially with little ones, they get sick and are out of commission for a couple of days, or there's vacation, or there's other reasons why they're away from school for more than 2 days. So there's also a growing discussion about remote learning during weather closures. Under what circumstances could learning continue remotely?
So many of us have the experience through COVID where schools had to be closed for an extended period of time. And there was a transition, not immediately, but slowly into remote learning. As I said earlier, these events in Vancouver, inclement weather, have been really rare to date. It's very important to us to really consider equity, especially for a short-term closure, 2 days. Many of our families have technology and access to technology, but we also know that many others do not. And the Vancouver School Board is really committed to really looking at equity and how do we create the conditions where students have the opportunity to learn in an equitable way. And in COVID, we saw this. There was a lot of adjustment to create the conditions where technology could get to students and families to remove those barriers to learning.
Other factors that I know about are supports that are provided to families outside of academic learning. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
So for sure. And in our schools, for example, we provide food to some families to support equity across the district. So making that decision on the day of has implications for families and students that I take very seriously. We feed over 3,000 students hot lunches every single day across the district. So it is only with great consideration that we would make a decision to close schools.
So speaking of equity, school closures can be a challenge to manage for families, especially with both working parents. why can't we have schools remain open just for childcare when instructional days are canceled? Could schools still be open for families who can't arrange childcare or who are unable to work from home?
So as I was talking about earlier, we really take these decisions very seriously. We consider all of the factors the morning of, and I make that decision, balancing safety, equity in the moment. When we make a decision to close the district, you have to think about that's 50,000 students and 7,700 employees. And I need to consider the safety of students and staff. And if the weather conditions and the roads, transit are all going to negatively impact travel in Vancouver, making that decision is why schools are closed. So we would not be in a position when we're in closure where we would have enough staff in the right places to be able to offer childcare or keeping schools open on those days, because the conditions are so serious that we've made a decision to close. But what I also wanted to say is safety is very important to us. And we know when we make an announcement around a closure, sometimes families may not have heard what is happening, or families are in a routine of getting their child to school. So we do ensure from a safety perspective that there is a staff member on site at every single school and program. In case a family or student may arrive, we welcome them with a staff member that has made it to the site, and we make arrangements for them with their family to return home.
So there is a staff member at every site, even on snow days. So can you walk me through if a parent drops off their child at school, can they remain at school?
They cannot, unfortunately. So we do have a staff member, and sometimes it's a staff member that may not regularly work at that school community. We make sure that everyone is covered, but we welcome the student or family in, and we make contact with the family to make arrangements for them to head home.
I see. Okay, so it's a space for them kind of just to be held over there until they can be picked up by their family member. Helen, thanks for walking us through the process. It really sounds like there's lots of factors to consider when we're talking about school closures and, from an equity lens, from a safety lens. Are there any final thoughts to our listeners that you'd like to share?
One of the things I'd like to say, so while we're all managing the inclement weather, we also have significant staff behind the scenes working to manage with all of the snow, the ice that has arrived on our sites. And I just want to share a thanks to them, because they're out in this terrible weather, clearing sidewalks, clearing ramps, salting, and getting schools ready for when we're able to open. And I think a lot of people don't see that. We have so many schools across the district that need our time and attention. So wanted to thank them.
Actually, access into schools. That's a good point you mentioned, Helen. I have heard from families that when we reopen schools after a snow day, there is still residual snow on the ground. What are the guidelines for our team to have the pathways cleared for students and staff and families?
So you can imagine with well over 100 sites across Vancouver, when there's a snow event, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and the conditions change. So what I would say is if a parent or a family has a concern, to really reach out to their school principal, who will work with the facilities team to address any potential concerns they might have. Often the snow clearing, salt on ramps, etc., may change overnight. The weather may get colder, it may get icier again. It's an ongoing process as we all kind of recover from a weather event. And I think the best process, if people have some questions, is really reach to their local school community, and they can help manage the next steps.
Right, because in Vancouver, we have over 130 sites that we need to clear, and sometimes we can't keep up with the snow. So while we try our best to clear the pathways, if we have missed one, let your school principal know, and we can get that taken care of right away. Any other last thoughts, Helen, that you'd like to share?
Just a reminder that safety of our students and staff is top priority, and we really do understand the impact on school closures and are committed to making really informed and cautious decisions, taking into consideration all of the information available to us in that moment. And I really encourage families to stay updated by following us on our social media channels at VSB39 on Instagram and X at Vancouver School Board on Facebook.
Thank you, Helen, for giving us a clearer understanding of the school closure process due to severe weather. And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in to VSB After the Bell. Special thanks to music teacher Mr. Bonnell and the Nightingale Elementary students for the original theme song. Episodes are released at the end of every month. And if you have an idea for a podcast episode, let us know by emailing us at communications@vsb.bc.ca. And don't forget to subscribe to VSB After the Bell on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
After the bell with the VSB.